A 34-year-old, Ugandan-born, Democratic Socialist rapper just won the mayoral election in New York City. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't a movie script. This is the new political reality in America's largest city. The question on everyone's mind this morning is, how on earth did this happen?
It's a seismic shift, Joe, a political earthquake, and the aftershocks are already being felt across the country. We're talking about Zohran Mamdani, a state assemblyman from Queens, who just defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo, a political titan, and Republican Curtis Sliwa to become the 111th mayor of New York City. It's a story that feels both completely improbable and yet somehow inevitable.
Inevitable is a strong word, Jane. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But the facts of this victory are staggering. Let's lay them out. First, the turnout was historic. The New York City Board of Elections reported that more than 2 million people voted. That's the highest number in a mayoral race since 1969. For context, the 2021 election that brought Eric Adams to power had a turnout to just 23%.
And that turnout wasn't accidental. It was the result of an incredible ground game. Mamdani's campaign mobilized tens of thousands of volunteers to knock on over 1 million doors. They weren't just winning an election, they were building a movement. He ran on a bold, unapologetically progressive platform: rent freezes, free bus service, universal childcare, and even city-owned grocery stores to combat high food prices.
A platform that many in the establishment dismissed as pure fantasy. Even former President Trump weighed in, calling Mamdani a communist and threatening to withhold federal funding from the city. He ended up endorsing Andrew Cuomo, of all people, in a last-ditch effort to stop the Mamdani wave.
Which might be the most bizarre political alliance of the decade, but it speaks to the threat they saw in him. This wasn't just a political campaign, it felt personal. And to understand why it resonated, you have to understand the man himself. This is where the story gets really interesting.
Right, let's peel back the layers. Zohran Mamdani is not your typical politician. He was born in Kampala, Uganda, to a world-renowned academic father and the celebrated filmmaker Mira Nair. He moved to New York at age 7. This is a kid who grew up in a household of artists and intellectuals, a world away from the gritty machine politics of New York City.
And before he was Assemblyman Mamdani, he was a hip-hop artist. He performed under the names Young Cardamom and Mr. Cardamom. He even had a track on a Disney movie soundtrack, Queen of Katwe. He rapped about his identity, about being of Indian origin but born in Uganda. It's this fusion of culture, art, and politics that defines him.
But it wasn't his rap career that put him on this path. It was his job after college. He worked as a housing counselor in Queens, helping low-income immigrant families fight foreclosure and eviction. He has said that seeing firsthand how banks prioritized profits over people is what lit the political fire in him. That's the core of his human story. It's not a theoretical or academic position for him. It's rooted in the struggles he witnessed.
Exactly. And that authenticity is what people connected with, especially young people. They saw someone who spoke their language, not just politically, but literally, through social media, through culture. His campaign was a masterclass in grassroots organizing against a political Goliath like Cuomo. Remember, he started this race polling at less than 1%.
Okay, so we have a charismatic candidate with a compelling backstory and a platform that speaks directly to the affordability crisis plaguing the city. But Jane, let's get into the deep analysis here. Winning is one thing, governing is a completely different beast. New York City is a tangle of powerful interests. Wall Street, real estate, the police unions, they're not just going to roll over for a Democratic Socialist mayor.
You're right. The challenges are immense. The New York elite is terrified. There's already talk of capital flight, of businesses leaving the city. But what if we're looking at this through the wrong lens? What if this election wasn't just about New York? What if it's a bellwether for the rest of the country? The Democratic Socialists of America are already saying this victory provides a powerful way forward for the National Democratic Party.
Or it could hand the GOP a massive weapon for the midterms, painting all Democrats with the socialist brush. Mamdani's win forces a reckoning within the Democratic Party. Do they embrace this new, energized progressive wing? Or do they try to tack back to a perceived center that, frankly, doesn't seem to be holding anymore? The apathy that defined New York politics for decades was shattered in this election. People are demanding fundamental change, not just tinkering around the edges.
And that's the core of it. For years, the argument against policies like Mamdani's has been that's not politically possible. But he just proved that it is. He built a coalition of young people, of working class families, of immigrants who have been ignored and priced out of their own city. He didn't just win an election, he redefined the boundaries of what is considered possible in American urban politics.
So what's the reflection here? Where do we go from this moment? On one hand, you have this incredible story of hope and activation, a feeling that a city long dominated by money and power can be reclaimed by its people. It's inspiring.
It is. But on the other hand, there's a daunting reality setting in. Can Mayor Mamdani actually deliver on these sweeping promises? Free buses, universal childcare, public groceries, these require enormous political capital and, well, enormous amounts of money via tax hikes on corporations and the wealthy. The city will be watching, the nation will be watching, and his success or failure could set the course for progressive politics for a generation.
He has a mandate born from historic turnout, but he also has a target on his back unlike any New York mayor in modern history. The story of Zohran Mamdani, the rapper who would be mayor, is far from over. In fact, the most difficult and fascinating chapter is just beginning.
This podcast combines verified reports with expert analysis and narrative storytelling. Some dialogues may be dramatized for clarity, but all facts are sourced from credible media.